Hello, beautiful! Today, we're going to be making cheesy beef empanadas, which are honestly super easy to make and they taste absolutely incredible. So let's get started. Start off by adding in the flour to a large mixing bowl. Now add in the salt and the baking powder and then mix it all together using a spatula or a whisk. Next, we're going to add the cold, cubed butter. Rub it in using your fingers so that the dough resembles coarse breadcrumbs. And the colder the butter is, the flakier the pastry turns out to be, so make sure that the butter is cold. You can also freeze it the night before if you'd like for best results. And this is what it should look like after the butter has been rubbed in with the rest of the ingredients. And our final ingredient for this dough is water, so we're just going to gradually add that in until the dough comes together and forms a ball. You might need to add in more or less water depending, so you don't need to use the exact amount of water that the recipe calls for. So this is what the dough looks like at the end. So wrap the dough in plastic wrap and chill overnight or for at least 2 hours. Once our dough has been chilled, we can move on to the filling. Cut the onions into thin slices, and chewing gum while doing this can actually prevent you from tearing up. This has been super helpful for me because every single time I cut onions, my eyes always burn and they always start tearing up. So definitely try this out if you face the same problem. Now mince the garlic and set aside for later. I personally don't mind the smell of garlic, but if you don't like it, then just rub your hands with sugar and then wash it thoroughly, and the smell of garlic will completely go from your hands. Now that that's done, we're going to start cooking it. So in a hot pan on medium-high heat, pour the vegetable oil and then add in the onions and garlic. Add the salt and the pepper and stir so that the spices get well distributed. Add in the ground beef, followed by the oregano, and stir again, and then leave to cook for a few minutes until the onions have browned slightly and the ground beef should be completely cooked through. After our filling is made, we can work with our dough, so cut it into halves because this makes it easier to work with, and then roll it out using a rolling pin until it forms a thin sheet. And if you're new to my channel, welcome! I post new videos every single week, so make sure you subscribe. Use a lid or a cookie cutter to cut the dough out into circles, and the size of the circles really depends on you, but I think the bigger it is, the easier it is to fill. You might need the help of a knife to cut it out, but whatever works for you. Repeat this exact same thing with the rest of your dough. Pour in some of your filling with your spoon and then top it off with some cheese. Now fold one part of the dough over the other and press firmly with your fingers so that the filling is completely enclosed. And if you overstuff the empanada, don't worry, you might just need to take out some of the filling. Use a fork to press down the edges once again. This will ensure that the empanada doesn't burst when it's cooking. And you can be really creative with the filling you use for this recipe. You don't need to use beef and cheese. Here I'm making a pizza empanada, which is super cool. Just add in a little bit of pizza sauce and then top it off with some cheese, and redo the exact same thing. So fold one part of the dough over the other and press firmly so that none of it spills out. Once all your empanadas have been made, transfer to a baking tray lined with parchment paper and use a basting brush to brush on some melted butter. You can also use egg wash, milk, or cream. And once that's done, bake it for about 20 to 25 minutes or until the dough has become nice and golden. And that is it for this recipe. It's super easy to make and I definitely hope you give this a try. Anyway, that's it for this week's video. Stay safe and bye for now.